In February 2013, maintenance workers at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles made a disturbing discovery. After guests complained about low water pressure and strange-tasting water, they checked the rooftop water tanks. Inside one of them was the body of 21-year-old Canadian student Elisa Lam, who had been missing for nearly 3 weeks. But it wasn't just her death that captivated the internet. It was the haunting elevator security footage released by police during the search, showing Lam exhibiting bizarre, erratic behaviour shortly before her disappearance. The video spawned countless theories, investigations, and one of Reddit's most engaged mysteries. What really happened to Elisa Lam in her final hours? Welcome to Vanishing Threads. Today we're exploring the mysterious death of Elisa Lam and how internet sleuths on Reddit have spent years piecing together this puzzling case that blends elements of true crime, the supernatural, and mental health in ways that continue to haunt the digital landscape. Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old Canadian student from the University of British Columbia, traveling solo through California in January 2013. Born in Vancouver to Hong Kong immigrants, Lam was described by those who knew her as bright and creative. According to her family, she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was taking medication to manage her condition. Her Tumblr blog, still archived online by internet researchers, reveals she was passionate about fashion, photography, and literature, particularly the works of Chuck Palahniuk and Haruki Murakami. Her journey had taken her from San Diego to Los Angeles, where she checked into the notorious Cecil Hotel on January 26, 2013, booking a shared room that cost approximately $65 per night. Hotel records confirmed she initially stayed in a shared room, but was moved after complaints from roommates about her odd behaviour, though the specific nature of these complaints was never officially disclosed. The Cecil Hotel itself had a documented history of violence and tragedy that would later become central to online theories about Lam's fate. Built in 1924 as a luxury hotel during Los Angeles' boom years, it quickly declined after the Great Depression transformed the surrounding area into what would eventually become Skid Row. By the 1950s, the Cecil had gained a well-documented reputation as a haven for transients and crime. Official police and news records confirm at least 16 deaths occurred at the hotel since its opening, including multiple incidents of self-harm. In the 1980s, Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, reportedly stayed at the Cecil during his crime spree. According to multiple accounts from hotel staff that were later reported in the Los Angeles Times, he would return to the hotel, sometimes covered in blood, and discard his clothing in the hotel dumpsters. Austrian criminal Jack Unterweger also stayed at the Cecil in 1991 while working as a journalist. During his stay, he was involved in at least 3 incidents involving sex workers in Los Angeles, crimes he was later convicted of before taking his own life in prison. The hotel's reputation was so notorious that it reportedly inspired the Hotel Cortez in the 5th season of American Horror Story. Elisa was meant to check out on January 31st, with plans to continue her journey to Santa Cruz. When she didn't arrive there as scheduled, and after days without contact, her family reported her missing. The Los Angeles Police Department began an investigation, searching the hotel with dogs and conducting interviews, but no trace of Elisa could be found. On February 14, 2013, in a desperate attempt to generate leads, the LAPD released surveillance footage from the hotel's elevator, captured on the day of Elisa's disappearance. This video would become one of the most analysed pieces of footage in internet history and the catalyst for Reddit's involvement in the case. Meanwhile, hotel guests had begun reporting problems with the water supply. Multiple guests filed complaints with hotel management, documenting specific issues that were later confirmed in police reports. The water had an unusual dark colour, tasted strange, and the water pressure was abnormally low throughout the building. British tourists Michael and Sabina Bohr, who stayed at the Cecil during this period, later gave interviews describing how they had showered and brushed their teeth with water that had a very funny, sweet, disgusting taste. On February 19, 2013, 19 days after Lam was last seen, maintenance worker Santiago Lopez responded to these complaints by climbing to the roof to inspect the hotel's 4 1,000-gallon water tanks. According to his official police statement, when he looked inside one of the tanks, he discovered her in the water. The Los Angeles Police Department confirmed the body was that of Elisa Lam. According to the official autopsy report, which was later obtained and published by journalists, her clothing, along with her watch and room key, were also found in the tank. On June 18, 2013, after a comprehensive investigation, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office officially ruled Lam's death as an accidental drowning with bipolar disorder as a significant contributing factor. The full autopsy report noted that no recreational drugs or alcohol were found in her system, though therapeutic levels of her prescribed medications were present, suggesting she had been taking them as directed shortly before her death. However, for many online investigators, particularly on Reddit, this explanation left troubling questions unanswered. The coroner's report itself noted several unusual aspects of the case that fueled online speculation. First and foremost was the issue of roof access. The entrance was reportedly secured by an alarm and locked door, raising questions about how Lam gained access without hotel staff being alerted. Equally puzzling were the water tanks themselves, which had heavy lids that would be difficult for someone of Lam's size to move and would be impossible to replace from inside. The toxicology report complicated matters further by showing therapeutic levels of her prescribed psychiatric medications, contradicting early speculation about drug-induced behaviour and suggesting she had been medication compliant. Adding to the mystery, Lam's phone was never recovered, despite an extensive search of both the hotel and the water tank. The official explanation attempted to resolve these questions by suggesting that Lam's bipolar disorder had led to a psychotic episode that caused her to find her way to the roof, perhaps when the alarm was malfunctioning, climb up to the water tank, enter it, and subsequently drown, with the lid either falling shut by itself or having been left open and later closed by someone else. The elevator footage of Elisa Lam, officially released by the LAPD on February 14, 2013, became the cornerstone of online investigations. The approximately 4-minute video, recorded on February 1st, according to its timestamp, shows a sequence of unsettling events. Lam enters the elevator alone at the 14th mark and immediately presses multiple buttons. At least 6 are clearly visible in the footage. What happens next captivated internet sleuths. The elevator door remains open for approximately 2 minutes and 30 seconds, defying normal operation. During this time, Lam steps out of the elevator several times, looking nervously in multiple directions as if searching for or hiding from someone. She makes unusual hand gestures, moving her fingers in seemingly deliberate patterns that would later become the subject of intense analysis. At one point, she appears to press herself against the corner of the elevator in what looks like an attempt to hide. Only after she exits the frame completely does the door finally close, as if released from whatever was keeping it open. The video also contains several technical anomalies that contributed to online speculation. Parts of the footage appear to jump or skip. The timestamp is inconsistent with typical hotel security camera formatting, and a section of the footage appears to have been blurred or digitally altered, although the LAPD later stated that they had redacted portions of the video to remove identifying information of a hotel guest who briefly appeared. Within days of its release, the video went viral, accumulating millions of views. Reddit quickly became the central hub for amateur sleuths trying to decode the mystery. Dedicated threads on unresolved mysteries attracted thousands of comments, while a specific subreddit, Elisa Lam, was created solely to investigate her case. Redditors with claimed expertise in various fields offered their analyses. Users who identified themselves as having backgrounds in video forensics enhanced the footage's quality to search for hidden details. Some users reported they could see shadows or movements in the hallway, though these claims remain unverifiable and are widely considered to be artifacts of the low-quality video compression. Others with self-reported expertise in body language analyzed Lam's movements, with some suggesting her gestures resembled American Sign Language, a theory that was later extensively debated but never confirmed. More controversially, some Reddit users speculated that the video had been tampered with beyond the acknowledged redactions. Theories ranged from hotel management editing out other individuals who appeared in the footage, to police removing sections that might implicate staff or other guests. These claims remain unsubstantiated, and the LAPD has consistently maintained that aside from the disclosed redactions, the footage represents what was captured by the hotel's security system. The investigation on Reddit evolved in several distinct phases after the elevator footage was released, each contributing specific, verifiable insights to the public's understanding of the case. In the initial technical analysis phase during February and March 2013, a user identifying as a hotel security technician gained widespread attention with their detailed breakdown of the elevator's behaviour. Their analysis suggested that the door's failure to close could be explained by either maintenance mode activation or someone holding an outside call button. This post gained massive attention on unresolved mysteries and prompted journalists to question the hotel directly about elevator operations, eventually confirming that the elevator was indeed undergoing routine maintenance checks during that period. As spring progressed, Reddit investigators turned to public records. Following a Freedom of Information Act request initiated and funded collectively by Reddit users, maintenance logs for the Cecil Hotel were obtained and shared throughout the community. These crucial documents revealed that the roof access door alarm had been reported as intermittently malfunctioning on at least 3 occasions in the 6 months prior to Lam's death, information that had not been included in initial police statements. The significance of these findings was later validated when the Los Angeles Times cited these same documents in their continuing coverage of the case. By summer 2013, the investigation had moved into its on-site phase. Several Reddit users who identified themselves as Los Angeles locals visited the hotel to document its accessibility features. Without entering restricted areas, these visitors photographed publicly accessible spaces and made a significant discovery. Certain emergency exits potentially allowed roof access without triggering alarms. Their findings, compiled into detailed posts with photographs and floor plans, have since been referenced by multiple documentaries examining the case, though the hotel later disputed some of these accessibility claims. Perhaps most significantly, mental health professionals brought crucial context to the case that was largely absent from mainstream coverage. Verified mental health providers created threads explaining how manic episodes can manifest in behaviours strikingly similar to those seen in the elevator footage, including unusual hand gestures, disorientation, and paranoia. These clinical perspectives provided a science-based counter-narrative to the supernatural theories that had gained traction elsewhere online and helped humanize Lam's experience for those unfamiliar with mental health crises. Following on from this was the contribution from Reddit users with experience of mental health conditions. Multiple threads emerged from people with bipolar disorder or psychotic episodes, explaining how Lam's behavior strongly resembled manic episodes they had personally experienced, providing context many news outlets had failed to consider. As weeks passed following the discovery of Elisa's body, the official investigation concluded with the coroner's ruling of accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder listed as a significant factor. Toxicology reports showed Lam had been taking medications for bipolar disorder, but the levels in her system suggested she might not have been taking her full prescribed dosage. For many on Reddit, however, this explanation failed to address key questions. How did Lam access the roof, which was supposedly alarmed and locked? How did she open, enter, and close the heavy water tank lid? Why were her clothes found floating separately from her body? Reddit users began compiling timelines, gathering evidence from news reports, police statements, and hotel guest accounts. They created detailed maps of the Cecil Hotel, tracing potential paths Lam could have taken to the roof. Some users even visited the hotel personally, documenting security measures and testing whether alarms were functional or if alternate routes existed. The Unresolved Mysteries community also systematically debunked several sensationalist theories that had gained widespread attention in other online forums and even mainstream media coverage. Among the most persistent was the tuberculosis test coincidence that captivated conspiracy theorists. They noted that a tuberculosis outbreak occurred in Skid Row near the hotel around the time of Lam's death, and that a specific diagnostic test was called Lam-Elisa, or lipoarabinomannan, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. This fueled wild speculation that Lam was involved in biological warfare or was silent to prevent her from exposing something about the outbreak. Reddit users with verified medical backgrounds meticulously dismantled this theory, explaining that Lam in the test name refers to lipoarabinomannan, a component of the tuberculosis bacterium's cell wall, and had been named decades earlier, making the name's similarity a pure coincidence. Their analysis gained credibility when the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, later issued a statement confirming there was no connection between Elisa Lam and the tuberculosis test. Cultural coincidences were another area where Reddit investigators provided valuable clarity. Many online commentators had noted striking similarities between Lam's case and the 2005 supernatural horror film Dark Water, which features a young woman's body in a rooftop water tank affecting the building's water supply. Rather than accepting this as something paranormal, Reddit users tracked down the original Japanese novel the film was based on, published in 1996, and the Japanese film adaptation from 2002, demonstrating that these stories predated Lam's death by many years. The subreddit's moderators eventually created specialized myth-busting threads to redirect and contain these discussions that veered into supernatural territory. Technical analysis also helped debunk what became known as the invisible attacker theory. Using both video analysis software and reports from hotel staff interviews, Reddit users challenged claims that someone had been edited out of the elevator footage. Through painstaking frame-by-frame analysis, users demonstrated that apparent jumps in the footage aligned with standard security camera recording methods of the time that used motion activation to conserve digital storage space, explaining why certain moments appeared to be missing without requiring deliberate tampering. Perhaps most importantly, Reddit moderators took a stand against irresponsible doxing when a death metal musician who used the stage name Morbid, Pablo Vergara, was incorrectly identified by amateur sleuths as being connected to the case. Because he had stayed at the Cecil Hotel months earlier and posted a music video filmed there, he faced severe harassment online. Reddit moderators actively removed posts targeting him and created verification requirements for any theories involving private citizens. Vergara was later confirmed to have been in Mexico during Lam's stay at the Cecil, completely uninvolved in the case but nonetheless severely affected by the false accusations. Through years of collective investigation and documented research, the Reddit community has developed several primary theories about what happened to Elisa Lam, each with its own supporting evidence and significant challenges. The mental health crisis theory, which aligns with the coroner's official ruling, remains the most evidence-supported explanation. This theory suggests that Lam experienced a manic episode related to her diagnosed bipolar disorder, during which she gained access to the roof, possibly through a fire escape or when the alarm was malfunctioning, entered the water tank either deliberately or while disoriented, and was unable to exit, resulting in accidental drowning. Supporting this explanation is substantial documented evidence from multiple sources. The autopsy report confirmed therapeutic levels of her prescribed psychiatric medications, suggesting possible breakthrough symptoms despite medication compliance. Her Tumblr posts in the days leading up to her death, meticulously archived by Reddit users, showed increasingly disorganized thinking that mental health experts identified as consistent with the onset of a manic episode. Hotel staff statements indicated she had displayed concerning behavior that prompted her room reassignment from a shared dormitory to a private room. Mental health experts interviewed in the Netflix documentary explained that the behaviors seen in the elevator video align closely with known presentations of manic episodes, including the disorientation, unusual gestures, and apparent perception of things not visible to others. The primary challenge to this theory remains explaining how she accessed the roof and managed to enter the water tank alone, especially given her small stature. The foul play theory has persisted, despite the official ruling, suggesting Lam encountered someone dangerous at the hotel who either attacked her directly or frightened her into hiding on the roof, where she entered the tank as a desperate measure or was placed there after harm. Proponents of this theory cite several compelling pieces of circumstantial evidence. The Cecil Hotel's documented high crime rate is undeniable, with LAPD statistics showing over 50 emergency calls to the hotel's address in the year preceding Lam's death. Many interpret her behaviour in the elevator video as clearly hiding from a pursuer, particularly when she presses herself against the corner and peers cautiously into the hallway. An unexplained 911 call from Lam's floor on the night she disappeared, confirmed in police records but never officially connected to her case, adds to the suspicion. Additionally, former guests have come forward with accounts of witnessing suspicious individuals following solo female travelers at the hotel, though these accounts remain anecdotal and unverified. The most significant challenges to this theory include the complete lack of physical evidence of assault found during the autopsy, security footage showing no suspicious individuals entering or leaving her floor, and the difficulty of explaining how an attacker could have placed her in the water tank without leaving any evidence. The hotel negligence theory emerged as a middle ground explanation, gaining significant traction after the wrongful death lawsuit filed by Lam's parents against the hotel, which was later dismissed. This perspective focuses on how inadequate security, poorly maintained infrastructure, and lack of proper response protocols potentially created circumstances that led to Lam's death. Evidence supporting this view includes extensively documented maintenance reports showing the roof alarm had malfunctioned multiple times, a concerning history of safety violations at the hotel found in public records, the hotel's inexplicable delay in searching water tanks despite days of specific water complaints from guests, and staff testimony that they conducted only a cursory search of the roof during the initial investigation. Advocates of this theory suggest the hotel's negligence was a significant contributing factor, regardless of whether Lam's death resulted primarily from a mental health crisis or some form of foul play. What makes this case so compelling is that each theory has both supporting evidence and significant holes. For example, the mental health explanation struggles to account for how Lam could have closed the tank lid from inside. The murder theory lacks any forensic evidence, as the autopsy found no signs of trauma or related assault. And while hotel negligence may have contributed to the circumstances, it doesn't fully explain Lam's strange behaviour. Throughout these investigations, the most valuable aspect of Reddit's involvement has been its collective expertise. Users with backgrounds in hotel security explained access point vulnerabilities. Mental health professionals provided context for Lam's behaviour. Engineers discussed the mechanics of water tanks and roof access. This collaborative approach has provided insights that might never have emerged from a traditional investigation. The Elisa Lam case represents something profound about how mysteries are investigated in the internet age. Before Reddit and similar platforms, unexplained deaths might receive brief media attention before fading from public consciousness. Now, communities of amateur sleuths can sustain investigations for years, sometimes uncovering details that official investigations miss. However, this case also highlights the ethical complexities of such investigations. At times, Reddit threads veered into problematic territory, doxing hotel employees, harassing Lam's family for information, or promoting sensationalist theories without evidence. These moments have prompted important conversations within these communities about responsible investigation practices and respect for victims. The case has had lasting cultural impact as well. It inspired the 5th season of American Horror Story, numerous documentaries including Netflix's Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, and countless podcasts and YouTube analyses. Each new adaptation brings fresh waves of interest and new generations of Reddit investigators to the case. Perhaps most importantly, the case has sparked valuable discussions about mental health awareness and support for young adults traveling alone. Reddit threads that began as investigations often evolved into thoughtful conversations about recognizing signs of psychiatric distress and the importance of proper medication management. What happened to Elisa Lam that day remains, in many ways, unresolved. The official explanation of accidental drowning during a manic episode may be correct, but the peculiar circumstances and unanswered questions continue to draw people into the mystery. And perhaps that's what makes this case so emblematic of Reddit mysteries as a whole, the tension between rational explanation and lingering doubt, between official conclusions and the collective desire to find deeper meanings. The mysterious death of Elisa Lam demonstrates both the best and worst aspects of internet investigations. At their best, platforms like Reddit can bring together diverse expertise, challenge official narratives when warranted, and keep public attention on cases that deserve it. At their worst, they can spread misinformation, invade privacy, and elevate sensation over substance. The case remains active on Reddit today, with new posts appearing from time to time as users discover previously overlooked details or bring fresh perspectives. While we may never know with absolute certainty what happened to Elisa Lam in the Cecil Hotel in 2013, her story has become more than just a mystery. It's a testament to how the internet has fundamentally changed the way we investigate, remember, and make meaning of tragic events. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for listening. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe.